Welcome to Friday Night Party Line for July 3rd, 2015. Here on the show tonight, we've got Jason. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Not too bad. It's good to be around you guys.
It's good to have you back on the show. We also have Scott Johnson. Hey, Scojo, how's things?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Nice. And of course, we have the one-man wonder from deep down under. We have Churba. Hey, Churbs.
At least it's not a joke about bananas, I guess.
Okay.
Yes, that is
so we have a
something you
good
never knew. So that we don't overlap on jokes, this is why I rarely appear with Omar on Atomic Trivia War, because both of the places we come from produce prestigious amounts of bananas.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there going to be a banana surplus if both of you are on the show? Is Dole going to sponsor ATW9K if that occurs, or
Everyone involved would die of riboflavin poisoning. That's what would happen.
What the hell is dole? Down here, dole is welfare.
On the dole.
Yeah, you're on the dole.
Yeah, you just give people bananas, right?
Yeah, it's healthy.
Dole is a very large fruit and general produce company here in the States.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I think they own Chiquita Banana too. I'm not sure. I think they do own that. But at any rate, so we've got a decent show. At least I think it's decent. Decent show lined up for you guys today. Starting off with a rather a good bit of good news. So as of now, if the Republicans have their way in this country, it will be reversed as soon as possible. But as of now, there is no such thing as homophobia, because clearly that can't exist in a world where the Supreme Court has ruled that gay marriage is now legal in all 50 states. Right, guys?
This is actually why I came on this show. Is Churba, will you gay marry me?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I get to be the flower girl.
I agree. Victor would look really cute in a wee pink dress.
Oh, yeah.
No one is more excited about this prospect than my wife.
So that's... Yeah, you get to bring
To be fair,
Churro over to
Victor
the
in a
United
dress is good.
States. Me in a dress,
Okay, I'm
I can
pretty excited
assure
about
you
that.
it's got to be a very well-tailored dress, because these curves don't quit, and I don't mean that in a good way.
Oh, don't worry, Vic. Textiles family, remember? My ma is a dressmaker. She will get you done up so nice.
Okay.
Hey, just curious, when is Australia legalizing gay marriage?
As soon as Tony
we
Abbott
get rid of
dies.
this wingnut fucking jughead guy.
Can Tony Abbott just disappear into an ocean as well?
It is nice as an American to feel morally superior to some country out there once in a while. So yes, we can lord this one over Australia for a little while.
I'm just going to get sick and take advantage of universal healthcare to spite you now.
But Vic, you make a
go
crack
out
about
if you
Yeah, I mean, I'm
homophobia
pretty
being...
sure gay marriage is legal in New Zealand.
Well,
I don't
that's
know. I
not
haven't
fair.
married
They
anyone
marry
in New Zealand.
Just lording it over.
You make the crack about gay marriage being, or about homophobia rather, being dead. And
Yeah.
actually, I'm rather proud to say that I think we're closer to that than you might think. I mean, of course, it's not going to happen. Racism still isn't dead, and we're 60 years past the 60 years past. My math is not strong. 50 years at the very least past the Civil Rights Act of 67.
Yeah.
Am I right? Thank you.
Yeah, we're a hair's breadth away from 50 years.
Yeah, I really actually feel that homophobia will be eliminated before racism is eliminated, which is kind of I guess sad, but I think it's an easier thing to just to get rid of as a society.
Well, if you look at the huge learning curve that we've gone through in the past 10, 15 years, and I hate to lay this at the feet of Will and Grace, but I think that sort of thing had a lot to do with it. We didn't really have widespread TV, and there was no internet, and movies weren't the huge blockbusters that they are now back when the Civil Rights Act was being passed. But we have had the confluence of all those influences on culture now. So the homosexual acceptance in America has really moved a lot faster than I think the race acceptance ever will. But and I don't want to speak on behalf of any company or publication that I might be involved in. I'm just speaking on my own here. But I was really, really pleasantly surprised when the people that we talked to, interviewed, polled, reached out to on Facebook this past week overwhelmingly were in support of gay marriage after the adoption or after the Supreme Court ruling. So I was expecting it to be much more even-handed, and it was not. It was not even-handed at all.
Yeah, I think it's very much the case that the big amount of the perception of homophobic prejudice in at least this country is very much due to a very vocal, very minor minority. Granted, there is still homophobia. I'm not going to pretend that the levels at which it exists couldn't qualify as a wide scale, but it's definitely not as bad as it was I would say 20 years ago, much less 5 or 10. And I think a big part of that is because unlike racism, where we have this very big physical appearance difference between, say, a black person and a white person, where people can sort of get that other aversion feeling that is a big driver of racism, that it's the other, it's a different group. Gay people can be in the same racial group as you.
Yeah, it's even. I think I was about to make a point similar to yours, which is, like you're more likely to be friends with somebody who's gay than necessarily know somebody. I mean, be friends with somebody of another race, just the way the United States is currently set up in these white enclave suburbs, and how we've oriented just housing in general.
Yeah.
You talk about the silent majority, though, and that's not how it aligns when it comes down to a vote.
Oh, the silent majority. Yeah, sorry, go.
Right. Sorry. You're talking about the silent majority in the United States, which when you go to the polls, it's very, very even. Republicans, Democrats, the Democrats in this past election cycle happen to be a little bit above the last presidential election cycle I'm talking about. But there's all the people who don't go out to vote. By and large, they're Democrats.
Yeah. And I think it's becoming more and more that especially in the younger demographics, obviously when it comes to political voting, we're only talking about 18 and over, but as we have a society that is built more and more upon this very global culture, founded on the internet, rapid communication, and building social groups not on physicality but on interest, I think it's more of the case that these younger demographics coming in to vote are more energized as voters, and they are skewing culturally much more towards the liberal end of the political spectrum. So I think over
I don't know
time,
if they're much more energized as voters, because our last election cycle is historically one of the slowest.
Especially for under 30 voters. And
if you look at the 18 to...
They don't realize that there's an election not more than just every 4 years.
Right.
That's what I was going to say while Jason was talking. In America, he clarified that he was talking about the presidential election. For America, people really only care about the presidential election, because who wants to schlep all the way to the local voting center for the one school board member that's on the ballot, and that's the only thing the ballot's about.
That's not true, and that's the huge problem, is that the midterm elections that generally decide the composition of Congress are
yeah, I
so
know.
much more effective. They have so much more of an effect on what happens
I-
in the nation
yeah.
than the presidential election does.
I know. I was being a bit hyperbolic about it. I
Oh.
mean that is the yeah.
My sarcasm
that is
meter
the-
was broken. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
your
I'll turn my
sarcasm,
headlights
yeah.
on.
Well, the
Sure,
reason
but I think
everybody
you'll-
cares is because everybody loves a big show. That's
Yeah.
why everyone cares about the presidential election. Everyone wants to see the winner who sits at the top. Nobody wants to see the 400 winners who all sit at the top of their respective little kingdoms, who then argue it out for the next 4 years in a big room.
Well, we
Scott,
crave
you're
simplicity.
looking rather morally superior over there. What is your take on this?
Wait.
Yeah, you had a halo there for a second.
No. I mean, it's just what I was just saying, which is the local elections are where all the a lot of decisions come down, and
No, I
don't know.
don't mean metaphorically.
Oh.
It looks on your webcam like you have a halo.
oh, I have a
over your
halo.
head.
I'm like, wait, why are you calling on me?
There you are. There it is again. Tilt your head forward.
Oh, Scott Jesus.
There it is.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize I had that on. Anyway.
Yeah, also, I think another way that gay marriage might have been an easier fight than racism on this one is simply because gay people can be part of, and are part of, all minorities. You very rarely see a black gay, not a black gay guy, a black white guy. You very rarely see a Puerto Rican
Black white guy.
black guy, black white guy. Whereas black gay guys, Puerto Rican gay guys, Puerto Rican gay women, black gay
Armenians.
women, Asian gay women, Asian gay men, fucking everyone. Everyone's got gays. So it's a lot easier to look around in your section of the community and say, yeah, that Jimmy, he's a good boy. Likes boys, so what? He's a good boy.
The other important part is because they generally don't have, they don't necessarily have kids and stuff. A lot of times they'll have a lot more disposable income, which makes them targeted by businesses and politicians for money.
And oh boy, the marriage industry is going to be getting one hell of a kick.
I'm actually interested to see, like primarily equality has been a Democratic issue, but I'm wondering over the next 20 years whether like the gay bloc of voters will actually not be as monolithic as they have been within the Democratic Party, and that they will actually be like, I don't need to pay taxes, I don't have any kids, or
Wow.
for classes.
That would be one hell of a
I
way.
encounter. I mean, you do encounter Republicans that are log cabin Republicans, and they're always pretty interesting because you're always like, your party kind of hates you.
Yeah. That would be one way for the Republican Party to get gay people. Yeah, why should you have to pay taxes for schools? I wonder though, what is the rate of adoption for gay couples? Because that's another part.
Depends if it's legal in the state that you're in.
I'm on it. I'm Googling.
Go, Jason. Use your
Yeah, I mean, well, that's
journalism
really
powers.
that's really the crazy thing is we just legalized gay marriage, but you can still be fired at your job for getting gay married in
That's
20-some states because there's
And
no.
there's also no. I think there's. I can't remember the exact number, but there is a number of states that have basically said, okay, no marriage licenses for anyone. Fuck the lot of you. What the fuck are they doing?
Well, I like Rand Paul was suddenly like, hey guys, we should just go get the government out of marriages completely now that we have to have everybody get married.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really? Really?
To be fair,
Really,
he's been
really.
saying that- he has been saying that for quite some time, but let's also not forget that states' rights and I just want the government out is also Ron and Rand's Paul way of saying it would be inconvenient for me to state my position on this question.
Yeah.
The assertion that you can be fired from your job for being gay is actually up in the air. I think you're going to see it challenged very, very
Yeah.
soon because
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah.
if the 14th Amendment protection for marriage extends to all states, then the 14th Amendment protection for employment also will extend to all
Oh,
50
I
states.
agree. It's going to be
Yeah.
another case, and I'm sure it'll be another 5-4 unless the Supreme Court changes. But
And then you
Kennedy,
have the
Kennedy
ca-
can
and then you have
surprise
the problem. Then you have the problem where you have attorney generals of states saying, "Hey, yeah, no, 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 we are going to ignore the Supreme Court."
You have to pick a side, according to the Alabama, what was it? The chief attorney for the attorney general said, you have to pick a side. This is a matter of heaven and hell. We're a Christian nation. We're a Christian state. We're obligated to uphold the holy laws of God. And you're like, okay, all right. Clearly you didn't pass the bar.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
I'm picking the side with the best parties, and let me tell you what, it isn't the side that's going to church on a Sunday.
According to lifelongadoptions.com, as reported by the 2000 census, about 65,000 children lived with same-sex parents. In 2012, 110,000 live with gay parents. Of the total number of children in the U.S. households, less than 1% live with same-sex parents. So the adoption rate is not high.
Well,
Well, yeah. How many
I
states?
understand that it's not
actually legal to do that in too.
Yeah, and more to the point, what is the ratio of married gay couples nationally to adopted children? And I think this isn't. Don't think this is a question that can be answered right away because
now,
with
yeah.
this new with the Supreme Court decision, there's going to be a lot more people more gay couples getting married, and there are going to be a lot more adoptions, I figure.
Well,
So.
maybe that's not exactly transparent either, because you don't have to be married in order to
No.
adopt.
That's true.
Oh. But it is a factor that is considered before adoption can be granted.
Especially by faith-based adoption agencies, which we'll
It is
see how
kind
all
of-
that plays out, whether they're protected like a church would be.
It is kind of piss poor when you get down to it, because like Angelina Jolie can practically adopt the fucking animatronic cast of Small World. Nobody gives a shit. She can adopt half the fucking nation and nobody cares. Whereas, two dudes or two ladies getting together, they want to adopt. Suddenly everyone has an objection like it's destroying a traditional family.
Actually, I actually
But
think
Sherba,
she might
Angelina
actually have.
Jolie is pretty people.
Actually, I was going to say she might actually have trouble with a religious organization that does adoptions because she is an out atheist.
Really?
And they might have a rule of not letting atheists adopt from a religious agency that does that.
Lest they corrupt the youth further.
Okay, that was good.
Which
I
is
think
personally
possibly
my mission statement.
The weirdest talking point that's come out of this whole thing, at least for me personally that I've seen, is that apparently, now did you know that this ruling on the 14th Amendment actually sets a precedent that means that suddenly open carry and concealed carry are legal in every state because of the 14th Amendment?
What?
No, guys, no. No.
What?
That's not how it works. The 14th Amendment means that you can't stop people from having a concealed carry license if they're black or gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not stopping your crack ass from fucking carrying a Glock to the Walmart.
As long as the rule
Or you
applies
can
to
then
everybody.
go and buy ammunition for said Glock. Except in
Oh, the
California.
people
You
who-
can't do that in California.
I've actually been invited to more than one group ammunition buy in California. There are ways and means around it, man. Like, I do not know a shooter in
I mean
California
at
that does not
Walmart.
carry a bullet button tool with them at all, like, whenever they've got their guns.
No, I mean at Walmart. Walmart doesn't sell ammunition and guns in California.
Well, that's weird.
You can totally. No. I mean, they just don't. At least
No, I
not.
just
at
can't
least
imagine
not
Walmart giving a shit.
Yeah. Well, they gotta comply with the rules, I guess. They do have some pretty bitchin'. They do have some pretty bitchin' pellet rifles, which I've been thinking about getting one recently. Although,
you wanna talk-
if I get one, I literally cannot take it out of my house. Unless it's going directly to a gun range.
You want to talk weird gun control laws, dude?
Stupid.
It is easier for me to buy a lever-action 308 than it is for me to buy a spring-powered, like, plastic airsoft gun. Yeah.
That's
So Walmart's big in Australia, is what you're saying.
Actually, it'd be nice if it was. We just got a Costco over on the north side of my city, and it is the best thing.
The wonder of the bulk buy.
Oh yeah, man.
so
I fully
steadily-
support more diversification of business.
Steadily becoming like the United States.
I'm okay with that. I want to move to the US. I mean, I'd be okay if we started picking up some of the good bits. Maybe we could do without them burning down churches, but, you know.
What we need to do is Australia and the United States need to come together, take all the good bits, put it in one country, and take all the bad bits and put it in the other one, and just let the bad one just turn into Mad Max.
That's how Australia was formed to begin with, so I vote that
that's pretty
good stuff comes from the US.
Obviously. Ship everybody.
Actually, having lived in England and having lived in Australia, I think really their biggest mistake was sending away all the prisoners and staying in England. They should have done it the other way around.
Yes, we're going to send away all the prisoners to this partly tropical continent.
Yeah, we're going to send them away to paradise, and then we're going to just stay in our rainy, little, horrible fucking country.
Well, the British love being miserable, is what it is.
Fucking oath.
Sure, but have you ever been to a zoo in the United States?
I have actually, a couple of times. I've been to San Diego Zoo, and I've been to a zoo that I think it was Nevada, that I don't remember because I was fucking blasted.
I've always wanted to ask you this, though. Are you offended by the way our zoos portray Australia?
No, not really. No, not particularly.
Okay, this
I
is
mean,
how the shithole is. It's just scrap metal attached to the sides of buildings.
I'm more offended
Over
by
here.
Outback Steakhouse. I have literally never seen a bloomin' onion in the wild.
BuzzFeed did a video recently where a whole bunch of the people from their Australian office were over here and they tried Outback Steakhouse food. And apart from the barbecued ribs, it was pretty much bleh.
Like, and to be fair, even if I was offended by how we kind of get portrayed in zoos, like watching America just
sorry.
freak out discovering Ruby Rose has been a gift.
Okay. I don't know. I've never seen Australians portrayed in zoos.
Fuck, man, as long as they give me a nice little habitat with at least some clean corrugated iron, I'm cool, man. Just chuck a couple of beers in once a day. We're all good. Vegemite sandwich at lunchtime? Yeah.
At the one time I went to a zoo where there was a kangaroo and koalas, predictably they had didgeridoo music playing over it. Going over speakers. Got the kind of crazy.
I legitimately like didgeridoo music.
No, it's got some weird sort of like hippie kind of relaxy vibe to it.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of introduced my English housemates to that. We used to get really stoned and listen to didgeridoo music. It was great.
So we're gonna move along to before this bit gets too long.
Oh,
We're gonna move along
actually,
to the
Before we move along, I will let you in on one thing that I guarantee you all Australian children have done.
Okay.
You know
Wrestle
how
with
whenever you
crocodile.
get those... No, I mean other than that. Stuff that people don't know about. You know how sometimes you get those really long cardboard tubes from like posters and things like that?
Sure.
I guarantee you, without exception,
didgeridoos?
yes. It's like, as well as sword fighting with them, we will always like just didgeridoo them. I'm not sure what the verb is for that really, but that'll do.
Recently, the Girl Scouts of America were given a donation of $100,000. This sounds all well and good. Unfortunately, right alongside the donation was a note from the donor that read, "Please guarantee that our gift will not be used to support transgender girls. If you can't, please return the money." Three guesses to guess what the Girl Scouts did, and the first two don't count.
Bought $100,000 worth of Thin Mints.
They're the Girl Scouts. They have all the Thin Mints they want.
I know, but you can always have more.
Is there such a thing as peak Thin Mint?
I think that would be a bigger crisis than peak oil.
Well, the big thing that people might not realize is that the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts are not related organizations.
No.
No, right, it's
and-
not like the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Wait,
and so that-
wait. Back it up. What?
So the
No,
Boy Scouts and the
they're
Girl
not
Scouts of
related.
America are two different, completely different organizations, not related in any way.
You idiot.
What are you doing?
So, well, no, the kind of good great part is the Boy Scouts in modern times have been taken over pretty much by their hierarchy was taken over pretty much by the Mormons and the conservative
Survivalist Tea
Catholics.
Partyists.
So they've always had a very strict anti-gay policy. They don't even really want atheists and like Unitarians. They wouldn't give the Unitarians a religious merit badge. But the Girl Scouts, on the other hand, have been totally accepting. To the point where they actually, the Christian groups have made a different scouting organization for girls, just because the Girl Scouts are way too liberal for them and accepting.
Yeah, and just to make this point unambiguous, the Girl Scouts sent back the $100,000, and more than that, they started an Indiegogo campaign to re-raise that money. They sent back the $100,000. They started an Indiegogo campaign 4 days ago, and they have since raised $315,000. So, yeah, that worked out pretty well for them, I think. And they still got 26 days left.
All kidding aside, right when Rylan was born, my oldest daughter, I didn't know that there was a distinction between the operating organizations of the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. And the Boy Scouts famously, of course, are so homophobic that it hurts. But I vowed when my daughter was born that she would never be part of the Girl Scouts. And now, the press that they've gotten by doing the right thing, which is amazing. It's an amazing thing that you can get a lot of press by doing the right thing. But the press that they've gotten over taking this step, I not only want to sign Rylan up for Girl Scouts, I want to be a goddamn den mother.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't think guys can be den mothers. That's the only problem.
That seems discriminatory in light of the...
Well,
I know
it comes down.
I know for a fact that Ernest in of the Ernest movies was a den mother in one of those movies. Yeah.
Here, we'll look up Google.
So, I'm not sure I remember specifically. Men can't be den mothers, but they can be involved. I just don't remember the proper title for it. So you can still be a leader, they just don't call you a den mother. It's called something different.
Den leaders.
Yeah.
You can be a den leader, apparently.
Also, I'm genuinely surprised that the Boy Scouts of America and the Girl Scouts are not part of the same thing, because that's basically how we
hold
do.
on. Okay, so hang on. The Den Mother Training Award has changed its name to the Den Leader Training Award since
because
men
they've
can
just
now be
started to
den leaders.
add. They've just started to add men in. I'm looking at an article where they're talking about how.
Apparently, this happened in 1967.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
They've just
According
been
to
saying involvement by dads growing leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
it
because
does-
people like
Good
me
news,
kept saying
Jason. You
couldn't
can be a
in
den
it.
leader.
Yeah.
All kidding aside, it does elude me why they would choose to make any distinctions based on sex. I mean, if I were the Girl Scouts and I saw all the good that I was doing for all the girls, I would say, hey, why don't we extend this to the boys, especially since the Boy Scouts have been in decline for 20, 25, 30 years now. I mean, their numbers are nowhere what they used to be. Why
Well,
not just make the Girl Scouts of America into the Scouts of America and give a big bird to the Boy Scouts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I'm pretty sure within the next 5 to 10 years, the Boy Scouts will change radically away from where they're at now. There was just a speech. They appointed Gates, the former Secretary of Defense, Gates, who was under Bush and Obama, and he gave a speech in front of at the big Boy Scout conference. It pretty much said, guys, sooner than later, we need to start changing our policy on gays serving in Boy Scouts. And,
Okay.
So I mean, they're definitely making. They appointed a guy to be the head scoutmaster who has an opinion that they should start letting, start liberalizing their policies. So
well,
I'm
the last
hoping it's all
polling that I
changing.
saw was by Pew Research, and it was from earlier this year, and it said that 53% of the American public favored gay marriage, and by extension, you would figure that at least 53% of the American public favored gays overall, right?
Yeah.
So you got to consider that if you're a Republican or a conservative who is sticking by the conservative or the Republican Party line, then you know that you're on the losing side of a battle. We've seen any number of color commentators come out, no pun intended, but commentators come out and say, basically, hey, the Republican Party has to change its shade on this. We have to start accepting the things that are popular if we want to stay relevant and continue to get votes, which is hilarious because they're playing the business game. They're trying to cater to the customers instead of having an ideology that they stick by. They know that their ideology is dying, so they're changing it. Which works. I mean, it works for me as somebody on the far left.
See,
It's good to see
I'm
that,
kind of
go
I'm
ahead.
kind of with Scott on that the Boy Scouts are definitely going to change in the very near future, well, near-ish, 5 to 10 years. Because I'll be honest with you, Scouts internationally basically has very much, especially in the past 10 to 15 years, very much started becoming the Boy Scouts, not the Boy Scouts, but the Scouts of the World organization, right, the Purple Fleur-de-Lis, and then the Boy Scouts of America as well. Like, the entire World Scouting organization has just slowly been backing away from the Scouts of America, going, you guys kind of fucked up. We don't want much to do with you, okay? Please
I thought
stay
it was
over
probably
there.
us saying that, right? We're probably like, oh, well, we don't want to be international. We could do it our own way.
I wouldn't be surprised if people were just genuinely unaware. Like, I've talked to a lot of American Scouts who've come over for exchanges and things like that, and these guys are pretty learned up on the Scouts. They've got their, I think it's an Eagle Scout in America, they've got all sorts of stuff like that. They've got their chiefs really tied weirdly. That's probably a thing.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
do Scouts differently. We roll
another
anyway.
really quick important thing while we're bashing the Boy Scouts, the Boy Scouts aren't controlled completely at their upper levels. Like, the local groups are not, like, they don't have to strictly follow all the rules, and they tend to bend most of the rules that are put down from high up, because they're not going to just turn people away. Because I know, like, they have a rule against, atheists and stuff like that, and then, the Penn and Teller show back in the day when they did a Boy Scout episode talking about their problems, they sent letters to all the troops saying, like, hey, we're an atheist family and we want to send our kid here, and they were always like, yeah, sure, whatever, screw the national organization.
That's all good and well, but the local groups aren't the ones who are throwing money at political campaigns.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is true.
Yep.
It is
But,
amusing
as I was saying,
how the Boy Scouts of America are fighting. The gay fight is one that's already passed, and I don't mean to say that, like, with the first topic, the homophobia is dead, but the Girl Scouts are already on to the next thing. The Girl Scouts are already making strides when it comes to transgendered children.
Yeah.
They're already saying if you're a biological male who identifies as female, then you're allowed in too. They've already put the gay thing so far behind.
Jason, the women have always been ahead of us.
Or so they would
What
tell
is that
you.
about? What is that about women maturing faster than men?
I
And then
refuse to
look at
believe
us. And then look at us. I got a shelf of comic books. Scott, you've got Batman posters behind you. Jason,
Yeah, me and
your
Jason
wall
have the
is just.
exact. Me and Jason have the exact same
He's got
like
an action.
tin things behind us. Tin superhero pictures.
Yeah.
Mine are all upstairs. That are the ones that he has behind him.
We men do not easily shed our childlike predilections. Jason is having the Hulk mug for the camera.
I can parade little figurines in front of you all day.
But that's good.
Ah,
I'm glad that I can be a whatever father of the Girl
Leader.
Scouts, because that's what was like the one sad thing. I was like, man, I really kind of want a boy so I could be like do the camping thing with like an organization. And I was like, I thought the Girl Scouts didn't let men come on their camping trips.
You know what? I mean, one of the big reasons that I was absolutely not into joining the Boy Scouts, and in the end I never did, was because the entire idea of camping just repelled me. I hate
Well, that's because
camping.
you suck.
That's because you've never. Well, actually, no. If you went camping with
No,
me,
I
you'd
could-
fucking hate it.
Camping? No. Camping to me is like spitting upon the legacy of humanity for the past thousands of years.
You're gonna
That's
make
what
this
it
argument.
is. I'm making this argument. Our ancestors broke bones and sweat and shed blood to build civilizations. That's what we ran away from the outdoors. That's why we have indoors.
Yeah, but now you can
Air
take your RV with 6 rooms and
Yeah.
and a power supply and
You
its
can
big
get those
screen
bubble
TV.
tents.
I'm forever going to look down on you for your glamping ways, Victor. Oh man, give me a pack and a 40-mile horse march.
Look, I have no problem going on like a hike through the woods or going mountain biking or maybe even kayaking. No problem with that. I just don't want to sleep in a forest. It's just
It's so
dumb.
great. It's so great.
Ugh, whatever.
You need to come to Australia.
So,
I'm just going to drug you and strand you on top of a mountain.
You best know that when I come back to find you, I'm gonna have a knife made out of a particularly sharp rock, and I will murder you.
Oh, you can try, my friend.
Worth it. Anyways, moving along to the and anything left to say about the Girl Scouts? I don't.
You would not survive the attempt?
Are you the Girl Scouts, Churba? Is that what
I have a fucking uniform.
a Girl Scout uniform?
Is it a brown
No,
uniform
a girl-
or a...
It's in the closet right next to his Catholic schoolgirl uniform.
Actually, it is in my dirty clothes basket right now because I was wearing it this week. I have like a proper fucking Girl Guides camp uniform that I
Really?
just wear sometimes. Yeah, I don't wear the culottes because fuck culottes.
Uh-huh.
But the polo shirt I wear a fair bit. Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
In fact,
Okay.
I have a good friend of mine, Fiona, who I met because I was looking for someone who was about my size to borrow a Girl Guides uniform off to show up on parade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Victor is
But,
speechless right now.
I don't get this whole thing that you guys do with the scouting because, like, girls and boys in scouts down here, 100% normal. Guides and scouts camping together, perfectly normal. Shit, like, fucking, I can probably list off at least a dozen of my earliest sexual experiences that were entirely because Girl Guides and Boy Scouts are allowed to camp together.
Maybe
Now
that's
you
why
know.
it's avoided here.
So much fun. I would have never become
whenever
such a
I,
stealthy motherfucker
whenever
if
I
I didn't have to
encounter-
sneak back out of Girl Guide camps.
Oh my god.
Whenever I explain to older individuals that the name of my podcast is Friday Night Party Line, one of the first things they ask me is, "Oh, is it like those chat lines people would call in the 70s and the 80s?" And I have to say, no, people, it's nothing like that.
It's
That's because you're a
dirtier.
fucking liar. This would be such a different show if I had like just randomly gone like years ago, just go, yeah, sure, I'll help you out with that. Victor regrets it every day.
No, you know what? Believe it or not, I don't. I don't.
I don't know.
So, any further comments on the Girl Scouts bit? No,
Thin Mints
guys,
is delicious.
nothing.
They're heroes.
Okay, cool.
Good job.
Actually, I think the lack of
So
Thin Mints is the
last
worst
topic
problem with
is
our movement
if you
down
can
here.
keep. What?
Our movement doesn't have Thin Mints. And this comes up because I googled Australia Girl Guides, because they're not called Girl Scouts here, even though it's pretty much the same organisation. I googled Australia Girl Guides transgender policy, and it came up with a page that said Meet the Biscuits. And I'm like, is this like some sort of strange name for the initiative that they have with transgender people? So I opened it up. No, it's literally about biscuits. What the fuck is going on? I can't decide if this means that they accept transgender people or if they're perfectly happy with accepting biscuits.
Well, you know, the younger Girl Scouts are called brownies, so I mean, maybe they're called biscuits in Australia.
That's true.
I've just linked you guys in the chat the
Cookies.
exact page it sent me to. They're not cookies,
There we
you
go.
fucking heathen.
Click that shit.
I detect some foul heresy. I'm gonna have to
Wow,
call
you
it a
have
fucking
really. It
exterminatus.
looks like you kind of have crappy cookies.
They're delicious. They're
Yeah,
just
no
very
kidding.
boring when it's all you've had since you were like 6. I have eaten other
Those
things
look
since I was 6. I mean in the way of Go-Go cookies.
Wow.
Well, wait a
How do
minute.
they make
don't
money?
You must have Thin Mints.
They're delicious. That's how. No, we do that. That's what you're looking at. Is it? They do not have Thin Mints.
You poor people.
I was.
How do you
an
go
absolute
on?
convert. It's a struggle, believe me. Why do you think
Do I
we're all
need
so
to
tough?
like airmail you some Thin Mints and like dry ice or something? Is like, are you
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, no, come on.
Are
I'll send
you
you back some.
okay?
Actually, to be fair, we have Tim Tams. We're still coming out ahead.
Tell you what,
say
you
otherwise.
send me some Tim Tams, I'll send you some Thin Mints.
hand
all right.
deliver
Well,
them
so
when I come
tangentially
over.
related to the Girl Scouts topic, we have another Indiegogo campaign. Perhaps you've been paying attention to the news, but the Greek government has defaulted on their International Monetary Fund loans, and they're in a bad way. They are in debt roughly 1.6 billion euros, and so that's a pretty big problem. And it looks like it's attempting to be solved via Indiegogo, wherein one intrepid individual started an Indiegogo campaign to raise 1.6 billion euros.
Hey, they're
it's
only
got 3 days
1.5
left.
billion away.
I know. It's they've got they got a lot left. They got a lot left.
To say the
It's
least.
3 days remaining. Apparently, it was only a 9-day campaign, but in the 6 days they've been passed, they have raised 1.72 million euros. Which, frankly, I'm surprised it even got that much.
This whole thing is just insane because it's just things like, oh yeah, you know, we only need 1.6 billion. That might seem like a lot, but it's only just over €3 from each European. That's about the same as a half pint in London. I'm afraid if you can't even get the price of a half a pint in London right, then you're probably not going to be able to fix your fucking economy.
I'll tell
So
you
the
this: it
exchange
is
rate
about
for
the
the
right
euro-
price for a feta and olive salad. That's about the right price.
€6? Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a
Not the
pretty fair price. I can
best.
dig it.
Yeah.
It also $10 for a bottle of ouzo. I would not drink $10 ouzo.
No. No.
I strongly recommend you do not drink fucking €10 ouzo.
Or 25 euro Greek wine.
Actually, no,
Or-
I'd be okay with that. Wine and price, in terms of quality, quite disconnected. You can buy some excellent box wine if you want. And trust me, I'm Australian. I'm a fucking connoisseur of box wine.
The entire
it's kinda
enterprise is
silly.
misguided anyway, because even if they were to cover the 1.6 billion, let's say that this Indiegogo campaign did get it all, right? Some billionaire comes along and just says, okay, I'm going to donate half of it, and then they have a whole bunch of other people matching it. That'd be awesome. But it's not going to do anything. They're going to eliminate the debt, and then what? They still don't have any capital to jumpstart the Greek economy, so they're going to be right back where they are in another 3 years.
Yep. The problem is that they have all and then now they're having a vote on whether or not the Greek populace wants to honor or wants to agree to any austerity measures, which is kind of a problem because when you take the loans, you agree to a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, either way, it is either tanking the reputation of the Greek economy, which, at this point, but you can't just say, you know what, we're taking back agreeing to that after we've already agreed to it and taken the money. Germany will be none too pleased, and we know what happens when Germany is none too pleased. Angela Merkel throws a fit.
Hey, man, Angela Merkel is a fucking angel. You know, I've met Angela Merkel, I should add.
Have you?
She's a cool lady. Yeah.
Huh.
During the G20 summit, I didn't meet her in an official capacity, even though I was covering the event. But she came out too, unlike all the other world leaders who stayed in their weird little fucking enclave, Angela Merkel was just like, fuck this shit, you brothers can't party, I'm out of here. She went out into the middle of Brisbane City and just, picked random bars and started showing up in random bars and drinking beer.
She had glow sticks, and she was dancing. She had a pacifier in her mouth. She had black lights all over her. That's what I heard, at least.
Swag.
I will not confirm or deny that Angela Merkel, the Grand Chancellor of Germany, can rave it up like a motherfucker, but... Hold on, I'm just pulling up news stories as we speak. But no, she genuinely did it. I was just out drinking as a bit of relief from fucking dealing with 20, and suddenly Angela Merkel.
Churba the Australian, was sitting drinking in a pub when suddenly Angela Merkel shows up.
Yeah.
Sounds like the opening to some bad airport novel.
Or a really good fan fiction.
I don't have a way to pay you back, she said.
I'm sure we can arrange. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sure we can arrange something.
Sure, but
Can we not write? Can we not write slash fiction about the leader of a first world country?
I disagree. Can we, please? That would be amazing.
I'm expecting at any moment my phone to go ping from one of the two viewers watching to weigh in.
If you've got fan fiction
let's
to weigh
see
in,
here.
please do. I mean, that'd be cool.
If
I'm
you do
100%
write
cool
fan
with it.
fiction about the hosts of this show, I will read it, but I don't know how much I'd actually want to read it. I'll read it as a matter of course.
So I guess
Let's.
to go
I
back onto
don't.
the Greek
Yeah.
financial crisis.
Oh yeah, we
Since I'm
were
trying
talking
to,
about that.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good aspect of this topic to talk about, and I guess the question for you guys is, would you blame like Greece for not cutting back early on, or Germany and France for just
We
giving
do
as
have
many
a
loans,
comment.
as many you know, giving them as much money as they possibly could without really caring about how they were spending it. I mean, it's kind of like the same issue that we had with the housing crisis, where you're like, the lender. Do you blame the people getting the loans that they couldn't afford, or are you blaming the people giving the loans, knowing that the people couldn't afford them? So I mean, I'm not sure what it's hard to make a comment on this. It's like everybody's kind of guilty.
Yeah.
I'm not so
yes.
sure about that because, to be fair, when Greece was seeking these loans, they were basically going, yeah, sure, no, we can pay it back. Yeah, no, we just need a bit of a hand to get in our feet. And then the people who they haven't been paying back have kind of shown up 6 months later and just found a field of discarded Ouzo bottles.
No, I mean this was going on for a long time. I mean, Greece has not in recent times had an economy that wasn't considered a risk to invest in. So I mean, it wasn't like it was just like the last 10 years of financial crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, people knew Greece they were not handling their affairs responsibly. But then when everything was like, the economy was really rocking, and they became part of the euro, and their currency wouldn't fluctuate independently of the rest of Europe. Everybody was like, hey, we could toss money into Greece and not get paid back.
Maybe Germany's just doing
I
it as
think
a
one of
tax
the
write-off.
I think one of the problem is that the measures required to put Greece on an economically solvent path, since the acceptance of these acceptance of these loans has been really unpopular from the populace of Greece at large, and as a result, they went through two prime ministers they went through three prime ministers in 2012 alone, because it was the case of let's do this. Like here, they went from George A. Papandreou, who resigned in 2011, and then he was replaced by Lucas Papademos, and I'm so sorry I'm butchering these names. And then he was replaced in May of 2012. He wasn't even in office for like 5 months, and then by Pantagiotis Pikramenos, and he left office in June of 2012. And then we had Antonis Samaras, who's been in office, who has been in office until 2015, since June of 2012. They went through almost 4 prime ministers in half a year because of the unpopularity of what needed to be done to make this investment work. So,
yeah.
Imagine though if you did that, if there was an analog to that in the United States, if the Republican control of the House, say back in 2010, had been like, yeah, screw it, we don't like what Obama's doing. Imagine if they had the constitutional power to remove him and say, we want to try a different guy. Think about what kind of a mess we would be in.
Yeah. I mean, especially so. I think maybe the guilt of this, the blame, I guess you could say, falls a little bit more on the Greek population than the Greek government, I think.
Well,
Because
I mean,
it seems like
It's tough because I mean, they do elect their leaders. So
Yeah.
it really ultimately the blame falls on the people electing the leaders if they keep electing crappy leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, after the first one,
Said the American.
But I mean, yeah, it's such a difficult. I mean, if you try to explain, I mean, when you go back and look at the financial crisis in the United States and you try to place blame, people will blame, Carter, they'll blame Clinton, they'll blame like, the bankers, the lenders, the people getting the loans. I mean, ultimately, it's an extremely complex financial problem, and
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, without being a, master or a PhD in economics, I'm not sure what we can say that would be really intelligent on this subject.
I
Yeah,
didn't
I was
want
just
to.
thinking, do we know any
Yeah.
economists?
I didn't want to kind of slam you earlier, Scott, but asking whose fault it is, whether it's the people or the leaders, is kind of a reductionist argument. Because, like you were saying, it's such a complex system. Trying to use any one kind of legislative solution to change the gears of, to change the emergent behavior of a complex system, as Rim and Scott would put it, is really difficult. So what do you do?
Well,
You
I know,
just
and
throw
that's, I
money
mean,
at it and hope that it all works
that's the
without
problem.
addressing any of the root problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was trying to say is like the amount of the complexity of the topic for us as laymen. I don't think we
Yeah.
could, beyond being just a really superficial reductionist argument, we couldn't really, I don't think any of us could talk about this in a way that would be
Yeah.
useful.
I mean, I think when it comes to politics, it among the four of us, it'd be you and Jason who'd probably know the most about it, and it's a very complex issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
Mm.
tutored economics a bit, but I still wouldn't be able to speak confidently on this. I simply don't know enough about these situations specifically.
yeah. I mean, just the idea of like the country's individual economies before they joined the eurozone, and then like after they took on the euro, and how that affected these different economies of these different, vastly different like economies in terms of size, like Germany and France being like these giant powerhouses to these like smaller economies. It's really above my pay grade.
And Greece is only the 13th largest economy in the Eurozone, so even they're kind of victims to what all the other countries do anyway. So there could be an argument to be constructed saying that Greece isn't to blame for their situation at all, that
Yeah.
anyone from
Yeah.
Turkey to France to Italy to goddamn
Turkey's not in the eurozone.
Well, Turkey's not in the Eurozone, but they're a direct Greek trading partner right across the way there.
Yeah.
The
Right
problem-
across the
there's
Aegean
definitely
Sea.
There's definitely a foundational problem in considering it as if individual countries' economies are in any way disconnected to pretty much any of the economies around the world. I mean, perhaps maybe 100, 150 years ago that was the case, that you could have a country that basically spiraled itself into economic ruin and nobody else really gave a damn. But today, we're all connected.
Honestly,
And
I wouldn't
we
go
won't-
that far.
I wouldn't say Greek. I would say the Greek economy, if they actually nosedive out and they leave the euro, we will not particularly see any big effects in the United States.
Oh no, I mean,
And, it's-
like,
and I think you need to go a little further than back when you're talking about countries not having an influence on each other, because, for example, the Dutch tulip crash was, I think,
No.
pre-America's existence, and yet managed to essentially crash the global economy. So,
True.
Well, even if the current Greek
Yes,
crash, let's say
yes.
that nothing happens, let's say that Greece does crash and they bail out on the euro, like Scott mentioned, that's going to devalue
what's
currency
gonna happen?
nationwide. It's going to destabilize any number of currencies. It would have an effect on U.S. banks.
I wonder how many U.S. banks are actually invested into the Greek economy in any
I mean,
realistic way.
I mean, if you look at just the cash assets of those banks, people are like hundreds of thousands of people are doing bank runs to their banks to pull out all their money. They've gotten to the point where they are now only they're letting people do it by their alphabetical last names. Like
U.S. banks are Greece is in debt to the U.S. banks to the tune of about $12 billion.
That's nothing.
ooh.
They're in debt to Germany by only about $1 billion more.
Even saying that is really misleading, because when you say debt, you're not talking about debt. You're talking about structured debt. Like the United States, everybody throws a fit about how far in debt the United States is. But just because the national debt is $15 trillion at this point doesn't mean that we owe anybody $15 trillion. It means that we have $15 trillion in non-liquid asset, or even I'm going to get confused trying to explain it. But basically, the national debt doesn't mean bullshit.
Yeah, it's not like say if the Chinese hold some of the United States debts, they can come in and start taking our land and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way. It's not like you're behind on your payments on your Toyota Corolla or something, and that's someone's going to come and repo your country.
It also gets left out quite a lot that America is owed more than it owes. So
this is true.
And at any time you talk about debt, you're also balancing it against your GDP. So you have to compare what you owe to what you make every year and how it's structured. And I don't want to really go here, but if you're part of the Australian School of Economics, having debt is a good thing because it structures it in a way that they're in debt to you and you're in debt to them.
Yeah.
Like you could make a good case right now that China is actually more dependent on our debt than anything, so they don't want to try to collect it all. They're making a great sum off of it every year.
My God. The number of the financial business, the U.S., is worth $6,196,000,000,000.
I love it how within a span of 20 minutes we go from Churba's sexual escapades and the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts to the impact of the Greek financial crisis on the GDP of other international companies.
Oh, don't worry. I have sexual escapades in Greece too. If you want to talk about those.
How many? Is there a continent where you haven't?
Yes.
Antarctica.
Yes. That is literally true. Burning all over the world. Hey man, we were all young once.
Right.
In Victor's case, he still is.
I don't know about you, but I've literally said everything about economics that I know.
Yeah.
Pretty
Especially, on this topic, I could go off on a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's one of those things where you just kind of watch the train wreck occur and just hope that a piece doesn't go flying towards you.
Slowly.
I do have one more interesting point that is tangentially relevant to the situation.
Bring it, man.
There is one chap who you may have heard of. What was his name? Oh, I've got a tab here. Lovely. Yanis Varoufakis. He's a Greek-Australian economist. He's the current finance minister of Greece. Do you know why? You've probably heard of him.
Proceed.
His previous employer.
Is he an actor?
No.
He played an economist on TV.
He used to be a private consultant and chief economist for none other than Valve Corporation. He used to be He used to be Steam's pet economist. He went from a hat-based economy to an economy that couldn't buy two hats.
See, I thought you were going to say something like Goldman Sachs or something like that.
No, he worked for Gabe Newell.
Hey, they know how to make money.
And he's an Australian citizen. So, yeah, chill guy.
There you go.
Can you imagine?
He has some. I strongly recommend you read his book. I'm just grabbing the exact title. Where is it?
Could you imagine if we like appointed a foreign citizen as our like head of Secretary of the Treasury?
To be fair, he
I think
was born in Greece. It's just that he also came down here when he was much younger and studied and taught here,
Ah, okay.
and is also a citizen. He considers himself Greek Australian, but he's Greek born, so he's an immigrant as opposed to being born here. Sorry, I forgot that Americans make that distinction a lot more than we do.
You know, we have to worry about those being
Secure
natural.
borders.
You got to be a naturally born citizen.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
If they
be. You can
if
be
they
over
ever-
10,000 miles away from the nearest American, from the continental United States, and still be a natural-born American.
yeah,
If
real
there's still
talk.
that distinction.
Real talk.
Werner
What you guys
Michael
do
Blumenthal.
to your external territories, to people who are considered American citizens, just because they're not on the mainland of America, is fucked up. We're talking people who can't even vote on who their president is. And yet they can serve in the military directly taking orders from that president that they can't even fucking vote for. And voting is considered a fundamental right in your country. What the fuck are you doing?
That doesn't necessarily mean anything because like you could join the U.S. military, and have our president be your commander in chief.
To answer your question, Scott, Werner
Right.
Michael Blumenthal served as United States Secretary of the Treasury under President Jimmy Carter from 1977 to 1979.
Oh, yeah?
Blumenthal was born in Oranienburg, Prussia.
Huh.
There you go. Foreign Secretary of the Treasury.
But was he? He got a citizenship of. He wasn't a citizen of another country, right? I mean, at that point in time.
The Blumenthals were Jewish and left the country in 1939, so he lived there for 13 years before emigrating to the United States. So if he was a citizen, he was naturalized.
Well, it's not crazy to have it naturalized, but I mean, is the guy running the Greek financial system? Is he? He's a citizen of
naturalized
Australia.
Australian citizen.
Yeah,
He was
He's a dual
Greek-born.
citizen.
Greek-born,
dual
but-
citizen.
that's what I was talking about. I kind of said the wrong words because
Then again, we've always had strong ties to Greece here. I mean, when you guys are drunk, what food do you go out and get? I don't know, but when we get drunk and need a fucking bit of a feed, where we go, we get a euro. So
most of our
that
diners
should say how strongly we're tied.
in the Northeast, the diner is usually run by a Greek family.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that is also true.
As
We
opposed
also
to
go
here
there
where
drunk.
the diners are, as opposed to here where the diners are primarily run by Mexicans. So we get burritos.
Actually, speaking of a foreign treasury person for the U.S., reminded me of another interesting fact about U.S. leadership. Herbert Hoover, without coming to Australia, he would have never become president because he would have never made the fortune he used in his campaign. He was... no, he didn't become an Australian citizen, but he almost did. He came down here as a mining engineer, digging for gold and all sorts of business. He owned what is now still one of the most... sorry, no, they're closed, but was one of the most productive mines in the country. Yeah,
The more you know.
there you go. Fun facts! Yay!
All right. So we're about 10 minutes past the hour. So let's bring this to a close. Let's bring this one to a close. That was a good bunch of topics with lots of good opinions and insights. So thank you to Jason and Scott. Thank you guys both. Churba, you could have done better. And yeah.
My parents said the same thing.
Next week, we will endeavor to do a. Next week, I'll be at Kineticon, so we will attempt to do a live in-person show at Kineticon. We'll probably have George. We'll probably have Viga. I'll try to wrangle Rim and Scott, though they're going to be pretty busy, as you might imagine. I believe are they running the panels department at Kineticon? I think.
Yeah, they run the panels department, but they've been a little more hands off lately, so they might have some free time.
Oh, okay.
I'll be
Right.
in the panels department there too.
You're gonna be
So,
at Kineticon?
Yeah, I told you I was going to be at Kineticon.
So many people have told me they're going to be at Kineticon. It's hard to keep the running tab of who's going to be there. But at any rate, we're going to try to wrangle together a live show of acceptable vices. We'll do our Turbo. I'll do my level best to get you on via Skype. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out.
That could be dangerous. With me, Scott Johnson, and Skojo, that might actually be enough Scots to reach critical mass.
You know what? Scott Rubin is on there. Scott Rubin. Yes, you did.
I meant Scott Rubin in there somewhere.
We'll have the Tri Scott Fecta. Watch out. Yeah, we'll endeavor to have a live Kineticon show with Churba. But the with Churba is the diciest part. Doing a live show there is not very dicey at all. So with that being said, thank you all again for yeah. Churba, do you want to put together a little short thing for next week too?
Nah. With that amount of people there, you'll be able to fill it whether I'm there or not. It's just whether the jokes are shitty or not. If I'm there, they'll be shitty. I guarantee it.
Well, you know what? It's an acceptable vices, and Derek is going to be there too, so he might play one of his games.
Ooh.
Anyways, well, you guys will find out what it's going to be when you listen to it. In the meantime, thank you again to Scott Johnson and Jason. Jason, of course, being from Atomic Trivia War 9000, which can be located at Churba. Help me out here.
www.simplysyndicated.com/shows/ATW9K.
Or just go to SoundCloud.
Yep, or just go to SoundCloud. At any rate, you'll find a link to it in the show notes, and we will see you all next time on Acceptable Vices. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
This was Friday Night Party Line, not Acceptable Vices, you twit.
Yes, and we will see them
next
time.
Will be that
on
show.
Acceptable Vices. Do keep up, Churba. I know you lag about a second behind, but do keep up. Good night, everybody.